Welcome to BizTech's SME Show, where we feature SMEs, both small and large, sharing their entrepreneurial journeys and also imparting the lessons they've learned. Now, today's SME Show, we take a look at the Niro Ceramic Group and their new initiative, Creative Lab. Now, here to tell us more are Ian Kopp, who's the new Managing Director of Niro Ceramic Group, and Keith Lowe, the Chief Retail Officer of the new offshoot, Creative Lab. Now, Ian and Keith, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian. Happy to be here.
Now, Ian, can you just start by giving us an overview of the Niro Ceramic Group and its history? After all, it's been around for over 40 years.
Okay, Niro Ceramic Group, right, actually started off as a company called Niro Granite. It was started by a Danish multinational group called Niro AS. Okay, and this Danish multinational group actually is an engineering company specializing in making equipment, right, for industries. Okay, and at that time, right, they were already making equipment for the food industry as well as for the ceramic tile industry. Yeah, for ceramic factories, in fact. So someone in Niro AS, right, decided that, instead of just making machinery for the ceramic tile producers, right, why don't we make tiles ourselves? Okay. So from there, they started the first factory in Switzerland. This would have been 1985 or 86. Okay. And they started the first factory in Cresciano, this town in Switzerland. Okay, and that was where Niro Granite, right, the brand was born, right? Okay. And they called it Niro Granite because they wanted to make a tile that is as hard as natural granite.
Okay.
Okay, and because it was produced in Switzerland, they wanted to emphasize on the quality, and they called it the Swiss quality tile.
And of course, for most people, the Swiss brand is very, very powerful and really symbolizes high quality.
Exactly. I mean, we all know, right? From watches to army knives to chocolate, right? The really, really good high quality stuff comes out from Switzerland. Okay, so that was the first factory. But you've got to give it to the Danish, right? They've got the what you call that, the spirit of always exploring and traveling, right? We call it the Viking spirit, right?
Yeah.
And they had the foresight during that time, right, that they wanted to invest in Southeast Asia. Okay. So they came to Malaysia, and this was 1990. Yeah, set up the another factory, the second factory in Pasir Gudang, Johor. All right. So the Danish came all over here, and they went into a joint venture with a local partner, and they started actually producing tiles. With this joint venture with Malaysian partners, okay, we grew our presence in Malaysia itself. And then in 1995, right, we expanded and set up our second factory in Indonesia. And of course, if I were to fast forward, right, all those early days to where we are today, right, firstly, right, it is now a 100% Malaysian-owned company, right, because in the very early 2000, right, the Danish decided to exit from this business. The business of producing ceramic tiles, go back to their core business, right? And now it's a 100% Malaysian-owned company. And as we speak, today we're in 7 countries in total, right? In addition to Malaysia and Indonesia, right? We're in Vietnam, we're in China, we're in the Philippines, we're in India, and also in Spain.
Interesting. So in Spain as well. So that's probably a legacy from the past that you're there. Or was that a specific reason that you went to Spain?
Yeah, actually, that's an interesting observation, Brian, because we wanted to go back to Spain. We wanted to go back to Europe, right? Because the heritage of this company is actually European. And we
Yes.
actually went back to Spain in 2013. From a timing point of view, probably not so good because that
They were in
at
their
that
housing
time,
crisis.
yes, housing crisis, and the after effects of the GFC, right? But nonetheless, right? We have a presence there.
Ian, what's your split between your business to business segment, so your developer sales and stuff, and your business to consumer business?
Okay. When Niro started here in Malaysia, okay, that was a very strong emphasis towards working with people in projects, right? Whether it's a commercial development or residential development. So a lot of investment of time and resource was focused towards building this channel, yeah, working with architects, designers, property developers, contractors, right? So I would say that due to this initial focus and initial approach, right, even until today, our business is heavily weighted towards the project segment.
Okay.
Yeah, more than 50% of our turnover is actually focused towards supplying to projects, and a lower amount to the consumer market, to the end user market.
I suppose, Ian, that's then one of the key driving forces for the establishment of Creative Lab, your retail segment.
To an extent, yes. Because you see, even having said that, we were more focused towards projects, we were selling to third-party independent dealers,
Okay.
right? We were selling to them, and they in turn were servicing the end user market. So we have had this dealer segment for a while, okay, albeit a smaller proportion as compared to our project segment. Yeah. What really drove us, to starting Creative Lab in a much bigger way, is actually driven by what I would say the availability of this design technology software.
Okay.
Yeah. My predecessor, the previous MD, right? We found, right, this new software that was available about 4 years ago, which made designing or recommending tile designs and the installation, right, of these tile designs very, very easy for the homeowner to visualize. So in other words, right, if you've got a bathroom and you wanted to, let's say, tile the floor and the wall, okay, this software actually enabled a very, very quick visualization, right, based on your choice of the size of the tile, the color of the tile, right, for you to just basically cut and paste, okay, and it's very clear and high definition, okay, and also very, very quick. So when we noticed this, right, it also provided us with the idea that, look, maybe in terms of investing in very, very big showrooms, which traditional tile manufacturers or tile companies would do, they would invest in very, very big showrooms. You're talking about, at least 5,000 square feet and bigger, so that you can actually make up all these physical mock-ups.
All right.
Okay, so that you can let the customer walk in and see, okay, this is how a toilet looks like, this is how a living room looks like, with actual tiles, actual mock-ups.
Yeah.
Obviously, this sort of model is very expensive from a property investment point of view, right?
Yeah.
Whether you buy your own property or you rent.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is through this software, it became clearer to us that you do not need to invest in such a big property. And I would say that was actually the first driving force for us. Because of the software being so easy to use, we don't need to have big showrooms. We can have many, many small showrooms.
Okay, and I'm going to zoom on to Keith now. Now, Keith, can you walk us through what Creative Labs is all about?
It's basically a new way of purchasing tiles for the end consumer. They basically walk into a store, if you go to a traditional dealer store, or you go to any tile shop, I mean, basically you see brands and brands, one piece of tile after one piece of tile. But you really can't imagine that over a space of living room or bathroom. So what the software does, what essentially Creative Lab does, is built around this software where you're able to visualize a space after choosing a tile, and you can basically look at different lighting effects that will affect the tile, whether day or night, or what fixtures go in. So even though we sell tiles and sanitary ware only, you can basically get your free interior design from sofas, furniture, curtains, all the works. So it helps you visualize what your space will look like. It's not just your floor and wall; it'll be everything that's in that room.
So that allows you then, as Ian pointed out, to move away from large format shops to much smaller formats. What is the shrinkage like? What is your new outlets look like?
I mean, compared to what some tile showrooms would be, easily there'll be like at least a 10 to 15 times shrinkage in terms of the space you need. Because you really only need the software, samples of the tiles that you are looking at.
Okay.
And yeah, that's basically, you sit down with the designer, just work out your floor space, and it's done almost instantaneously.
Okay, and interesting. So you've got about 40 outlets nationwide right now, and you're also about to debut a franchising program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Right. So basically, this will probably be the first. Normally you talk about franchises, right? You think F&B, you think other sort of retail. This will probably be the first tile franchise in Asia. As a franchisee, you get the same things as an outlet. Our corporate outlets have the software, the training, the SOPs, and yeah, basically you just run the front of the shop, do the sales, and everything else is carried out by our back end. Whether it's the warehousing, whether it's the logistics, all that is taken care of. So all the franchisee has to do is just really run the shop.
So essentially, the franchisee is your sales partner.
Yes, essentially that's it.
And does some creative work. What sort of cost is this franchise per outlet?
Okay, so basically the whole package is 250,000. All right, out of the 250,000, 40,000 of that is the franchise fee.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that franchise fee is 40,000 for 5 years. So you get to operate a Creative Lab outlet for 5 years for 40,000. So basically about 8,000 a year. Okay. The rest of it, the 210, is actually to build up the outlet, everything in the renovation, the hardware, the software, the displays. All of that would be in the 210. So basically, all in all, 250.
What's the return on investment like for this sort of? What is the payback period for this franchise?
On the operating profit or EBITDA, the ROI is actually around 24 months. Okay. 22, 24 months, roughly around there.
Okay, it's quite a rapid return on investment. And who have your franchisees been so far?
So basically, the first pool of franchisees come from our existing tile dealers. So basically, we are converting them to become franchisees. The next batch of them are coming from the open public, which will be opening up closer, probably towards to end of May, where we're accepting the public side to come in. Right now, we've got 20, 30 dealers that we're trying to convert to franchisees first.
Okay.
And six of them are already signed up. So we are working towards in total our target is actually 12 this year. So we're only all halfway there already.
Okay. Now I want to zoom back onto Ian. And Ian, could you give us some macro industry overview of your industry in terms of the tile and sanitary ware industry, especially given the impact of the pandemic in the last 12 months?
I would say this, Brian. right? In the context of Malaysia, right? I think all of us are fully aware, right? Through newspapers and interviews regarding the property market in Malaysia. My view is, the property market has been in an overbuilt type of situation. Yeah, even way before the pandemic hit us. Yeah. So there's always been a growing situation whereby supply was outstripping demand. Okay. So the pandemic in particular, I mean, in the context of the Niro Ceramic Group here in Malaysia, with the exception of that almost 2 months where the government imposed a complete lockdown, yeah, where no business was permitted to open. In fact, factories were not even permitted to operate. With the exception of those 2 months, I would say that our business has not been particularly hampered because of the pandemic. The landscape has always been increasingly competitive, more because of an oversupply situation.
All right.
Yeah, in the context of the Malaysian market.
And how do you compete then? Because obviously you are not a low-cost competitor.
You see, when we year on year, right? Yeah, we have a pool of customers that we work with regularly. Okay, and through the years, right, because of our supply, I would say, our quality, the reliability, we have actually grown a pool of customers that continuously prefer to work with us. Okay. So and for property developers, right, as long as they've got land, they've got to build something.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So in that sense, even though, right, our prices are higher than our competition in general, right, they have continued to put their trust in with us and continue to, as a first choice anyway, right, continue to want to use a tile from the Niro Ceramic Group.
I take it that because you've cultivated these customers, they tend to then build property in the higher end segments.
Exactly, right. They generally do. I would say that a good number of our regular customers generally focus on the medium to high type of development. But we also know, of course, right, that many property developers now is conscious of the fact that they have to also launch more affordable type of properties, the medium price properties. What we've done on our side is that we've actually developed a second brand, which we came out with. It's called Portino. Okay. Right. And we've had this brand for between 4 to 5 years. Okay. With the aim of actually being able to supply an equally good quality tile, but more simple in design, yeah, more simple in colors, right, for customers that are more price conscious, right, or basically focus on building or developing a property for the medium price market.
I've got to go back to Keith again, and I've got to ask you. So, Creative Lab, you're adding franchisees in terms of your tiling partners. Besides the tiling and sanitary ware, because you are doing design, are there other services that you're planning to offer the end customer?
Right. I mean, basically, we were gonna announce it anyway, but one of them would be tile installation services, which now we just sell the product, right? So in very soon there will be an announcement on our tile installation services, which will be launching somewhere towards the end of June. So now,
and how are you going to execute that? Is that through third parties which are verified by you, or are you going to do some sort of marketplace?
We will actually have an internal team of our own trained tilers under the Niro standards that will know how to install our. I mean, since you're buying a medium to high end tile, you want to make sure that, you know, you get also the better quality installers that know how to lay the tiles for you, make sure there's no defects. So that's the installation service that's coming up in end of June. Other to that, there's of course, since like you said, we put the curtains, we put the kitchen and wardrobe, we put the sofas and all that. We are actually working with partners now. Also in the very near future, we'll be starting off with curtains, furniture, and kitchen and wardrobe. But those are all in phases coming up in the next 6 to 18 months.
Okay, so essentially then you're morphing Creative Lab more into literally a one-stop shop.
Kind of. An interior is basically an interior design products and consultancy where you come in and basically design your home. Because if you're going to come in to buy tiles, you're obviously going to be renovating your home.
Yes.
Right. So the same customer base will also be looking at curtains. They will also be looking at kitchen and wardrobe. They'll be looking at the new sofa set. So we'll be moving into those lines. We are in negotiations with strong partners of the similar brand level as us.
It's exciting stuff on the Creative Lab side. Are there also plans to go regional? Because you have other markets, obviously, that Niro Ceramic Group is in.
Right. So basically, we have, of course, Malaysia is the home base. So we have 41 at the moment outlets. But regionally, we actually do have outlets, three in Indonesia, 2 in Vietnam, and 1 in the Philippines. Those will be expanding as well over the next 2 to 3 years. So we are working with those countries to see how we expand the brand there.
Okay. Now back to you, Ian. Final question: what's the strategy for the Niro Ceramic Group moving forward?
Where markets are now so volatile, right? Different markets offer different threats and different opportunities, right? What we've realized, right, and we want to be more focused on, right, on our own home markets. Yeah. Okay. Many years ago, we felt that the strategy was, and the ambition, right, was to plant a Niro flag in every country that we can land ourselves on.
Okay.
Okay. This was 10, 15 years ago, right? And as a process, at a point in time, we were exporting to more than 80 countries, right? Some much bigger, some much smaller, right? But it has become apparent to us that we want to focus nearer to home. Yeah. So our home markets of Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines, okay, and of course, India. India continues to be a good sourcing center for us. We don't serve the Indian domestic market so much, but we use India as a sourcing center to satisfy demand in our other markets. Yeah. So for these countries that I just mentioned, including Malaysia, right? Even though we've been in Malaysia for many years, right? It is clear to us that the opportunities, right, in terms of market share, right, we still have a very small percentage of the market.
Okay, what is that now? What by your estimate?
Oh, okay. I mean, if you're talking about Malaysia, right? Yeah, it is anything between 12 to 15%.
Okay, is that of the overall tile market or the premium tile market? Okay,
that is on the overall tile market. Okay, and of course, in the premium tile market, it's a much bigger figure.
How much is it?
Oh, if you're talking about just the premium tile market, we're probably 35%.
That's big market share.
You see, what is also obvious to us is, as a company, we have to adapt, right? If the premium tile market is not growing, right? We're a company that supplies ceramic tiles, right? Okay, yeah. So that's why we gave birth, right, to a brand called Portino.
Yeah.
Right. So going back to what I was saying just now, right? The focus is actually more towards home, right? In Indonesia, our market share is not more than 2%. The
Okay.
Indonesia market is huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the same for Vietnam, Philippines, China, right? So this is what we plan to do. We definitely want to focus more on our own home markets and also markets that are closer to us, meaning markets in Asia. You're talking about Thailand,
Okay.
okay? It can, Japan, Korea, right? Myanmar, we have a presence in Myanmar. We're looking at, Cambodia, right? And also Oceania, right? In Australia, in New Zealand. In fact, in Australia, we have a pretty good participation in that market. But again, right, the market gives much more promise and much more opportunity.
I see.
So the strategy will definitely be to look at our markets that are close to us, right, so that we can actually focus on delivering, right, the kind of product that these markets require. I mean, even though you're talking about Asia, for example, like the taste of an Indonesian customer compared to a Malaysian customer, there are nuances, there are differences. Okay, and it is important for us to be able to discern and differentiate that. Yeah, so that is the first thing, right? To be more focused towards our home markets and markets that are close to us. Second one is obviously, a lot to do with the Creative Lab, right? As was explained earlier on, right? Where, in terms of a B2C retail type of strategy, right? We feel that Creative Lab is actually the solution, right? To not only for the consumer, right? That wants to decorate their house, but it is also a solution for Niro in terms of growing our presence in the retail market. Yeah. So that we can actually have a better balance between what we supply to projects, right, and what we supply to the homeowner.
Ian and Keith, thank you very much for taking your time to be on the show.
No worries.
Thank you, Brian. It was nice talking to you.
Yeah, I'm Brian Fernandez, and I've been speaking to Ian Kopp, Managing Director of the Niro Ceramic Group, and Keith Lowe, Chief Retail Officer of Creative Lab, which is part of the Niro Ceramic Group, on BizTech's SME show. This video will be on our LinkedIn and Facebook sites, as well as our website, www.biztech.asia. Please subscribe or like our various platforms, and thank you for watching.